The floor is yours, Commissioner.
Yeah, this is not going to be a long update, obviously. So as you know, statewide, 123,720 positives, Hampton County, 7,902 positives, the city of Springfield, 3,086 positive. These are confirmed. The deaths in the state, 9,036. This is as of yesterday. 768 is Hampton County, and 131 is Springfield. In the nation, there are 6.5 million cases. And you have the, as far as the city of Springfield is concerned, we are holding pretty steady. We had 10 cases more over the last week than we did the week prior, but we're still doing well. We still are in the single numbers. Nationally, there's 194,000 deaths, as you know. Testing, I should say to you that we extended testing until September 30th. The city has just requested that the Stop the Spread in Springfield be extended to October to the 31st, and that has been granted. So our Stop the Spread will stay in place until October 31st. AFC Urgent Care continues to test Monday through Friday, 11 to 7. AMR is testing daily, 8 to 6 at Eachville Mall. And they're also doing some testing at their Cottage Street site from 10 to 3. Springfield Technical Community College, Fallon is on site there. And they are testing Monday through Saturday on 460 Union Street, Lot 3. The public, although we arranged it more specifically for the college, but the public can still go there because all Stop the Spread can be accessed for any resident. Contact tracing, we still continue to contact trace, and as always, encouraging our residents to answer those telephone calls so we can decrease and keep down the community spread. Travel orders, you know that Delaware, Pennsylvania, West Virginia are no longer exempt from our travel orders, so that if anyone going to those 3 states now will either need to quarantine for 14 days or have a negative test. New Mexico has been added to the low-risk states. They joined Colorado, Connecticut, Maine, New York, Oregon, Vermont, Washington, and Wyoming, and Rhode Island is still exempt. So Rhode Island still needs the 14 days or the negative test. The expansion of outdoor dining is going to be expanded for 60 days after November 1st, so it's till the end of the year. Modifications will need to be made to the applications, it's my understanding, obviously for snow removal and other changes that the city may need to do. School reopening, we're continuing to work with the Springfield School Department to work on their reopening plans, who's in the building, who's not in the building, just putting those policies in place. Halloween, you know the difficult decision that we made as far as no door-to-door trick-or-treating. Flu shots, we're encouraging flu shots as well. The days are getting shorter. You know we're all forced indoors. Indoor spread is obviously something that we're concerned about. I see Councilor Whitfield. I wanted to congratulate her on a very successful event on Saturday. I think it went very well, and I think it achieved what the city was trying to achieve. I'll stop there and just see if there's any questions for me.
Justin, you got to mute.
Sorry. Do any Councilor Whitfield followed by Councilor Letterman?
Thank you. Commissioner, thank you for that compliment. I just wanted to ask, for Halloween, there's no door-to-door. Can organizations do trunk or treat, or they have to just do the drive-by style where they just? In the information that we put out that I gave to the mayor, we did not ban trunk or treat. We are not recommending that. I mean, okay. Obviously, children going from trunk to trunk to trunk, it really is something that could potentially have a negative impact. And so that's under our guidance that says not recommended. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Letterman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Commissioner, at our last update a couple of weeks ago, you spoke about our communications with the area colleges, especially the residential colleges like AIC, WinU, and Springfield College. And I'm just wondering how those conversations have been going. And then I know they were each sort of submitting to us their plans. So I just was wondering if you could provide an update on that process and if we're seeing any situations evolving with the students coming back to campus.
Thank you, Councilor Letterman. Yes, we are in contact. I know I got an email from you for an address that may be correlated with Western New England University. I'm not sure, but we have a good relationship with the colleges. We're in contact. We have weekly meetings with the colleges and they update us. I can tell you that each one of them is taking this very seriously. I know of all of the colleges, when they find situations where the students are not compliant, those students are being suspended. And I know at least 13 suspensions have happened across the 3 colleges at this point. The other thing that's happening, as you know, the state has stood up the college-only positive site. So you can go on the mass.gov and look for colleges. They won't show you the college specific, but at least we have an idea of how many positive cases are on colleges across Massachusetts. We had a meeting with the mayor and the president of Western New England University. Each one of them, quite frankly, has been very skillfully talking about how they're going to adhere to the policy. So what you sent me, I wasn't sure, is that the address of a college student?
It was it was a off-campus housing that had been there had been 2 parties that were reported, and I did already hear back from the Springfield Police Department, the ordinance officer, who is going to check in with the college and with them. But I also wanted you to be aware of it, as I had heard from a couple of neighbors over there, and they've done a good job in recent years of coordinating their public safety officers with SPD. Obviously, SPD has the jurisdiction of the off-campus areas, but usually the WinU officers follow up afterwards. And I think especially with the public health advisory in effect, I think it's important right now. Do we know what the testing situation looks like for those 3 schools?
Those 3 schools have some testing materials on site. I have also offered to them that we would send AMR to their site if they needed to have additional testing capacity. So that is an offer that they can take advantage of, particularly since Stop the Spread is going to go until October the 31st. We think that that'll give an opportunity. And so those students can go to any one of our Stop the Spread, or again, we can bring a testing site to them.
Okay, thank you so much.
Commissioner, can you send us the locations for the testing as well as the hours and who is offering those so that we can in turn disseminate that to our constituents? Councilor Whitfield, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I will absolutely get that to the city council office, and they can, or I can send it to you directly and you can send it, whatever you think is the best process.
It's up to you, whatever's easier.
Thank you very much. Commissioner, I have a question about the testing at like the CVS and the other branches that's not affiliated like directly with the city. I heard that those tests may not be accurate. Have you heard anything like that? Because I've gotten 3 tests that way.
I have not heard about the accuracy. What the residents of Springfield are telling me is that if they go there without an appointment, they're being turned away. And so that's the only thing I've heard about those testing sites. So I'm encouraging our residents to use the free testing site at that we have, and I'll send that information to the council. But I have not heard that their test results were inaccurate.
Okay, thank you.
My last question, Commissioner, our young people, and we certainly know that they need to get exercise, and we want them to be involved in these team activities. Is there somebody that is monitoring the youth sports programs in terms of what it is that they're doing and whether they are following the guidelines and protocols?
Yes, I have been in touch with Jeannie Clancy, the nursing supervisor. First of all, let me start with Mr. Early, I believe that's his name, correct? Who oversees athletics for Springfield Public Schools.
For the schools, yes. I don't know about the youth sports outside of the schools, but definitely for the schools, yes.
So the schools, I have been most in contact with as far as making sure that we're keeping, though they are keeping each other safe and doing only those things where they can socially distance and wearing face covering. Outside of schools, the community centers have been in touch with us, and I think the most difficult thing, Counselor, is not allowing basketball at this point. I've gotten a lot of concerns about the fact that they can shoot around, they can, but there's no contact as far as sports are concerned in the community centers. They are open for the internet and all of those other things, but we have heard from them, but and we've had to put some restrictions on some of the community centers, which has been very difficult, to your point, around wanting our students to be, our young folks to be active. But it appears that they're complying, but we cannot allow basketball, which is the most pushback we're getting at this point.
Okay, thank you. TJ, you wanted to give us an update as well?
Sure. So it's been a little while since I've updated the city council on where we are with deficit spending and where we are with lost revenue. Right now, since the start of the pandemic, we are down $5.9 million worth of revenue that we would have otherwise brought in. Including in that number is for FY21 is $1,030,017 we're down. In variable revenue, what that basically means is not including property taxes. We're kind of keeping an eye on those in a different way. So we're down almost $6 million in revenue, and our deficit spending is going down too because we're starting to put things off on grants. The amount of deficit spending that's authorized as of now is $5,003,409. It was as high as $7 or $8 million, but as we're getting grants, that we're putting money that the grants are, the food service program got a grant, so we put 300-something thousand off the deficit account onto that grant. We're doing the same thing for the fire department's DPE. So that number's going down, so it means we're managing the deficit strategically. We have submitted our first round of public assistance from FEMA, and the number we submitted was $957,029. 75% of that is what we're going to anticipate, $717,000 and change for 75% match from FEMA, and the city's 25% of $239,000 will come from CARES Act funding. So it's not going to cost the city anything as it relates to as it relates to the 25% match that the city typically would pay. That's generally the high level. We have a number of grants that we have been awarded. We have a group that meets on frequently that's with Helen, Pat Sullivan, Tim Sheehan, myself, and Tom to map out how to reimburse, what grants to charge everything to be strategic. So we're in the process of mapping all that out. We still have a $7.1 million FY21 grant available to the city that we need to figure out how to spend by December 31st, unless it gets extended by the state and or federal government. But we're definitely in the process of matching up all the funding sources to maximize everything. So financially, we're doing as well as we can be. We're not in a situation like other communities where they're furloughing and laying off and doing massive budget cuts. So I think we're so far financially we're surviving.
Thank you. Councilor Letterman.
Thanks, Mr. President. TJ, earlier on we had talked about putting together sort of an accounting of all the different COVID-19 related funds that had come in and then where we sort of sent those funds. So I know we've had additional money come in since then, but just wondering kind of so far where we are in that process. And also the 7.1 million, was that COVID-19 funding that we're looking to spend, or and then in that case, sort of where are we thinking that might go?
So the allocation that we got from the state was 13, hold on one second, there was 13 .68 million. We've spent for FY20 6.4 million, and we have the balance 7.1. This is the most flexible account we have. This is the allocation from the federal government to the state, and the state's allocation to the city based upon population and everything else. This is actually, a lot of it's going to be spent on getting the schools open. A lot of it's being spent on getting the buildings open. We have to do a lot of HVAC and air quality, not air quality, but ventilation systems and get those things all fixed. And so we're mapping all that out now so we can get ready to go ahead and authorize the purchases of those.
Well, that's good for us to be doing anyway. So I'm glad to hear that. So when you're able, if you could send over whenever you have the expenses done, that sort of accounting of where everything went, and then still none of this can't be used for lost revenue, right?
Correct. So we're anticipating
that
we actually get revenue directly from the federal government if the House and Richie Neal are successful. If not, the fallback is if any unspent revenue that was given to us through the CDBG entitlement monies be converted to lost revenue. We're not sure yet.
Okay, that was a fingers crossed symbol, just to be clear. Very good. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Letterman. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. TJ, none of that COVID money can be used to put a bathroom in the new park?
No, unfortunately, I couldn't get that to be COVID related.
Okay. We still gonna fight for it for next year. Okay. Can you repeat the revenue loss and then the expenditures? Well, first, the FY20 anticipated revenue. Can you tell me what that is for FY21?
Yeah, so the anticipated revenue, that's just all the variable revenue that we track. So what we did is we pulled out we're not counting MGM because we're in ongoing conversations with them. We're not including property tax revenue because we deferred a lot of that till a little later in the fiscal year. And then, so once we get a better sense after quarter one, quarter two, we'll have a conversation about that. So the 5.9 million is basically a loss of all the other revenue that we build in, that's local source revenue, the building department, the treasurer collector for tax liens, motor vehicle excise, parking tickets, fees, other, parking meters, just different revenues for the different departments that are way below benchmarks.
Okay, and what did we budget that we will receive for the year FY21?
So that we actually got some good news on that front. We budgeted a 15% loss of revenue for FY21 for unrestricted general government aid. And then we did the level funding us, which is the net effect of a positive for us, about $5.4 million.
So $5.4 million gain?
Yes, a swing to the good for us gain because we were thinking a 15% reduction to be safe. So having that news come through is going to help us as we get ready to set the tax rate and get a final budget from the state.
So if we have a $5.4 million gain and a $5.9 million loss, do we have a $0.5 million loss in essence?
No, I think the best thing that we could probably do is show you the map out of how we're paying for everything.
Okay.
5.4 gain is purely the reason why we're not laying off, and we feel reasonably confident because we cut pretty deep in this year's budget. But we do have funding sources to cover virtually all the expenses, and then the revenue piece, I just got to keep them separate only because I can't use the revenue or anything to backfill it. But either way, that's why we're pretty much in a good financial position as far as we can be for fiscal 21. Does that make sense?
Not really, but I'll have a finance meeting so we can see maybe up on the screen what you mean.
Yeah.
And the expenditures for the year, are we below what was budgeted or above as far as expenditures go?
Deficit spending or just the regular general fund budget?
Regular general fund.
No, we're probably on track. We haven't really kept with the spending freeze, not a strong freeze. We're doing what we need to do, but nothing more. But since the governor is committed to level funding, we're reasonably confident that FY21, we can get through that without any deeper cuts. FY22 is the one that makes me nervous, most nervous. 22, 23, and maybe even 24 if it's a long recession. But I mean, there are a lot of things we got to talk about as a community when it comes to just how things are shifting in terms of property values, property taxes, commercials. You know, people don't have offices downtown anymore, so there's going to be a fundamental shift in how we look at everything.
Okay, great. And since you did mention deficit spending, that's my last question. President Hurst, can you tell us where we are with deficit spending?
Yeah, so we're down to 5 million. We were way up around 7.5 or so earlier, but we've offset a lot of stuff to the appropriate grants that have come in. We've offset the student laptops that we bought on behalf of the school department bought that we put on one of the grants. The facilities department has gotten all of the PPE that we need. We're stocking up on that. The police department got 6 police vehicles because they have 1 officer per vehicle for COVID reasons. The fire department got a grant that covers all their PPE as it stands now. And the IT department has spent a fair amount based upon the needs of technology, Zoom licenses, and to facilitate working remotely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Are there any further questions from the council? The only other question that I have is for you, Tom, with respect to City Hall. Are there any updates in terms of the transition of individuals coming into City Hall, either employees and/or the general public? Do we have any updates or any timelines?
So
what that looks like?
Yeah, in terms of the public, we're staying with the current system that we have, making appointments with department heads. We feel like that's going very smooth. We haven't had any real complaints or people concerned about that. It's really going well right now, so we're going to stick with that. We are having more and more staff coming in to work. Helen's been working with Pat to make sure that all of our departments people are spread out appropriately and have all the PPEs that they need and so on. So we're reconfiguring some offices to make room for that. So we are seeing more staff coming in, which we wanted to, but we're doing it in a responsible manner.
All right, so I'll coordinate also with Pat just to kind of get an idea as to what Pat, and I know the solicitor was working on it, as to what it is that they have in mind with respect to the city council and the city council chambers. But I can do that offline, and you're certainly welcome to be a part of that as well, Tom. Any other questions from the council? Seeing none. Thank you all so much. And again, for those councilors that are just joining us, this will be the last COVID-19 Committee of the Whole meeting that we will have. I know I sent an email out of calendar requests up until I believe the end of October, but because we are now getting Zoom for the city council, which will occur, I believe, by this Friday, correct, TJ?
That's the hope, is to have an account set up for the council staff to use to set up all the subcommittee meetings and meetings that they'll have.
So we will have a Zoom account by this Friday. The hope is that our administrative assistants will be trained over the course of next week, and then folks can start reaching out to our administrative assistants to set up their meetings, and we don't necessarily have to inundate Focus Springfield, with the exception of our traditional city council meetings that are streamed live. With that being said, what I'd like to do is to give these COVID-19 update meetings to the General Government Committee. I will be having a conversation with Melvin, and then sort of as he sees fit, he can call those meetings, and if folks want to be in attendance, they can. Otherwise, they can reach directly out to the commissioner or TJ or Tom as they see fit with any questions. So with that being said, take it easy. Thank you. And to the administration, I appreciate the work and relationship during COVID-19.
Thank you.
Thank you.